stay hidden.
Ever since Disney began doing anthology movies such as Rogue One and Solo, fans have been asking for a story about Obi-Wan Kenobi and his time on Tatooine watching over Luke Skywalker. This is mostly down to two reasons.
Hello there.
Star Wars fans love Ewan McGregor. Even when resentment towards the prequels was at an all-time high, fans would still single out Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan as one of the best parts of the trilogy. So, with Disney creating side stories about how the rebellion stole the Death Star plans or how Han Solo's early years began, why not bring McGregor back? The years between episode 3 and 4 have a lot of story potential. There's plenty of games, shows, and movies set in that time period. But Obi-Wan's story has been somewhat left untouched, with a few short stories in comics and 5 minutes on Star Wars Rebels, but never a proper deep dive into his life. Fans really want to see how Obi-Wan transitioned from a military general, part of the Jedi High Council, to a hermit on a desert planet. You don't just do that and not struggle. There's a lot of potential for a great character-focused story that Obi-Wan fans would love. They were finally getting what they had been asking for since Rogue One came out. But as time's gone on, there's been more and more news and information about this limited series. And then, after a while of waiting, we eventually got a trailer. And I have some opinions. While there are things I'm still looking forward to in this, there's also a lot to be worried about, which I will discuss. Also, a disclaimer. This is all just an opinion. If you disagree with me, then that's fine. It's just my personal view on a show that, as of time of recording, hasn't come out yet. Full disclosure, I have no problem with Deborah Chow as a director. She directed 2 exceptionally good episodes of The Mandalorian, and her directing all 6 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi isn't really a deal breaker for me. My issue with her is that she's a very action-driven storyteller. Now, while she's good at directing action, this isn't really what I wanted from this story. I'm okay with shows like Mando, Boba Fett, and that upcoming Ahsoka show to have a lot of action, but for this, I was hoping for something more akin to Logan, a self-contained, character-focused drama about a traumatized individual and his journey to find meaning again. I'm not saying the show shouldn't have action, far from it, but I didn't want it to be one of the driving forces of this show, and after seeing the trailer, it looks very action-driven. But like I said, this isn't really a deal breaker and shouldn't take away from any drama that goes on with the main character. Deborah Chow is still a talented director. I'm just hoping that the show isn't as action-driven as the trailer makes it seem. And that brings me up to my next issue. The first thing we found out when this show was announced was that Hayden Christensen will be returning to play Darth Vader, which is great. Hayden got a lot of flack for his performance in the prequels, some of it justified, but all of it not so much. It's been reported that the two will duel each other twice in the show's 6 episodes, and this could either be really awesome or really bad. While it'll be great to see the two clash once again, this also runs the risk of minimizing the importance of their fight in A New Hope. As far as fans were aware, that was the first time the two had met since Revenge of the Sith. Vader has been hunting this man for years. It's the one thing that's vexed him this whole time, that he can't get his revenge on Obi-Wan for leaving him to die.
Skywalker's apprentice could lead us to other lost Jedi,
such as Kenobi.
This fight also shows how much Obi-Wan has grown from his Clone Wars days. The fight doesn't go the way Vader expects. He's expecting to fight prequel Kenobi, but Obi-Wan has changed. He's gotten wiser. He realizes he's serving a greater purpose and lets Vader kill him, robbing Vader of that revenge that he's craved and handing the reins over to Luke. And so to have them meet and fight twice in this show risks undermining how important that fight is for both characters. This isn't the moment Vader has been preparing for over a decade, because they've had fights in the past. Every lightsaber fight should have meaning to it. It's not just two people trying to hit each other with lasers. It has to be important for the plot and the character's journey. We like this lightsaber fight because it's Luke realizing his dive-in head-first approach doesn't work and he needs to learn patience. We like this fight because it decides the fate of Anakin, whether he is to be trained by Qui-Gon or Obi-Wan. We like this fight because it marks the point where Anakin slowly descends to the dark side. So if these fights exist just for fan service, then honestly, I'd prefer if Vader wasn't even in this. I hope that's not the case. I really do hope that they can make it work in some way and not have this character around just for the fun of it. Speaking of which...
Where is he?
Now we're getting into the real problems. I do not like the Inquisitors. In concept, they sort of make sense. A task force of Force-sensitive individuals sent to hunt Jedi, but in execution, they just don't really work. They're basically all Vader if he was written for a Saturday morning cartoon, which is fitting because they were written for a cartoon. They existed solely for the two Jedi, Kanan and Ezra, to have lightsaber fights in Star Wars Rebels, but that's why they don't work. If the Grand Inquisitor couldn't even defeat two untrained Jedi, then why should I even be scared of him? Why should I think he could be a threat to Obi-Wan Kenobi, the man who fought and defeated one of the most powerful Jedi to have ever lived? Even the two Inquisitors who replaced the Grand Inquisitor after his death are even less intimidating and far more annoying. You know who my least favorite villains in Fallen Order are? The two Inquisitors. This might be a controversial opinion, but I was actually more invested in Malicos' story rather than Trilla's. The Inquisitors were designed to be these scary Jedi hunters, but they never seem to be good at their job, so it's hard to take them seriously. But now, in this show, the Inquisitors are making their live-action debut. But the thing is, we already know how two of them die, with the exception of the new character Reva. So there's really not a lot of tension when I see them. If they do fight Obi-Wan, it'll just be three characters fighting who I know don't die in this show. So why care? If you like the Inquisitors, then I have no doubt you'll get a kick out seeing them in live action. I just personally can't get into them, so to see them in this show doesn't really do anything for me. Not to mention, they're a symptom of an even bigger issue. In all fairness, this didn't really start off as a problem, but it's been slowly growing into one over the course of Star Wars television. Dave Filoni is one of the most important people in Star Wars at the moment. He was the head writer on Clone Wars and Rebels, and co-created The Mandalorian alongside Jon Favreau. He is particularly good at what he does, and clearly loves Star Wars. But I've been noticing something about these new shows that's really become a problem. These shows like to cameo characters from other Star Wars stories, mainly from the animated shows, as a way of making the universe seem more interconnected, since that's the big thing these days. But this doesn't always work. It works for a show like The Mandalorian since that's more episodic in nature, so it works to dedicate an episode of Mando meeting a fan favourite character. But it really didn't work for Book of Boba Fett, which was more or less hijacked to focus on other characters and took away from Boba Fett, who desperately needed the screen time. Even characters that could have worked in the main narrative were wasted and didn't service the plot in a meaningful way. Seeing the Inquisitors in this trailer makes me think that something similar might happen in Obi-Wan Kenobi. I genuinely believe that a known character will appear in the show and won't serve any proper function other than to make a cameo.
No, God!
The only character I would be happy to see in this show is Ahsoka. The two have a lot of history together, and it would be a lovely moment to see two friends reunite during such a dark time. Having Ahsoka find out about Luke and realizing a part of her former master still lives on. Mostly because I believe Ahsoka meeting Luke in Book of Boba Fett didn't really work and didn't really have as much of an emotional impact as I'd hoped. Unfortunately, this probably won't happen, given that this show is set before Rebels and all, but it would have been a nice idea. So those are my points for why I'm worried about the new Obi-Wan Kenobi show. If any of the points I've talked about don't really bother you and you're really hyped for this show, then that's okay. It's okay to like things. I'm not telling you how to think, but merely expressing my personal thoughts on this show. I was hoping for a small character-driven story, rather than the action-driven big show with ties to the Filoniverse it seems we will be getting. I really hope this show surprises me. The people behind the camera clearly love Star Wars and want to make the best product they can. It will still be good to see McGregor and Christensen back in their famous roles. This show will probably find its audience. I'm just worried that I won't be part of that. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Please leave a comment and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day.